I'm Chelsea Oliver, and I'm here today to persuade you about closing down SeaWorld. The name of my speech is called Anti-SeaWorld. Did you know that SeaWorld, the largely popular aquatic theme park, is the cause of multiple deaths and injuries to their staff and their killer whales? Killer whales are huge animals that should not be living in tanks. They should be in the ocean, swimming freely, able to grow their normal size. Normally, killer whales, when they're in the ocean, never being taken into captivity like SeaWorld or other aquariums, they grow to be very large, and they're very healthy and friendly, and they normally stay with their family members. They don't split up from their family members. So basically, there's always a big family of killer whales that live together, that swim together, and that are always together. But when they are caught and separated, like the killer whales that live in SeaWorld, they're completely different animals. Killer whales are largely unhealthy when kept in captivity, like places like SeaWorld, because they're in large tanks with no lighting for hours a day, normally at nighttime. That is unhealthy for the killer whale's brain and emotions. Killer whales are very, very emotional animals, just like human beings, and they are rational, just like human beings. They're often compared to dolphins. In the book Truth Behind Blackfish, it is cited that killer whales in the sea are less healthy. Killer whales in the sea world are less healthy than killer whales in the sea, because killer whales in SeaWorld often have floppy fins and are often very violent. And the movie Blackfish, just like this book is talking about, the SeaWorld scientists claim that floppy fins are very popular, and that happens often, but that is not true. Killer whales with floppy fins are unhealthy and have humongous emotional issues, and that should not be taken lightly, so you should look into that as well. Killer whales that are in the ocean are often very, very, very friendly and are just like dolphins. That's why, again, earlier in my statement, I quoted that they could be compared to dolphins, because they're often just like dolphins. Very, very friendly and non-violent. SeaWorld also separates killer whales, like I said earlier, when they normally stay together. That can affect a killer whale very much so. That can also make them very violent. Killer whales that are not with their families are often very sad and often call out signals. That's how they communicate. In the ocean, they often try to do that, but when they're in huge tanks like SeaWorld has them at nighttime, their signals cannot get through, and they often just yell and yell and yell, and they never get a response back. And I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you're separated from people that you love and you can't ever speak to them again. I would assume that you're very upset, just like the killer whales are. I would also like to point out that killer whales that are kept in captivity like SeaWorld and other aquatic places, they are often very, very violent due to insufficient food, also to being separated from their young or any other family members, and also being forced to mate, and also being forced in small tanks. I say big tanks, but if you're a big killer whale that is full grown, the big tanks that we think are big are like a small swimming pool to them. They're used to swimming thousands of miles a day, so to be in a small tank like that is very frustrating for killer whales. I also want to say that they're violent due to insufficient food, because killer whales work off of their talent, and their talent equals food. So let's say they don't perform well at SeaWorld, they don't eat as much. And that is also why most staffs are getting attacked or have been attacked before, because they didn't get the right amount of food that they wanted. Also, I'd like to say that SeaWorld's lawyers often in court will say that staff was negligent and was not careful with whales. I think that's a bad statement. In the book Blackfish by Nancy, Brand, she quotes that SeaWorld is negligent to their staff and their animals, and I agree. It's proven multiple times in her book that staff cares for the animals, and that's often why the movie Blackfish and other books about Blackfish have come out, and about the health of killer whales, because SeaWorld does not care about their animals, and they are often negligent to their animals and their staff. Staff is often injured or dead because of the way that the animals are treated. Staff are taught that SeaWorld has the best scientists and SeaWorld has the best equipment, so staff is often under the impression that they're doing the best that they can, but in reality, they're not. And I think often after staff leaves SeaWorld, they realize how much they're hurting the animals and often try to fix it. So overall, firstly, I told you why SeaWorld should be shut down, why the animals are unhealthy, while the staff is unhealthy, and also why the animals are aggressive more than normal in captivity. Overall, I think that SeaWorld is negligent to their animals and their staff, and I think that is an unhealthy environment for the killer whales, and I also think it's bad for humans to support such things going on because it's not right for the animals. I think this is important because most people don't understand the importance of aquatic animals and what does that mean for the circle of life. And I think that us basically ripping killer whales from their families and putting them in captivity for our entertainment is cruel and unhealthy on both sides, for the animals and for the staff. And I think that we should look into that more. But just my claims today are not enough to stop the issue. You should look into the facts that I claim today, look into the movies, look into the books, and volunteer or donate to causes that help with the stopping of production of SeaWorld and other aquatic like places, so that we can stop the cruelty, the animal cruelty of animals like killer whales in SeaWorld. Thank you.